So a viewer from Maplewood wants to talk about when will or does the Minnesota legislature intend to address taxes for the elderly. This person thinks that those taxes should be lowered or eliminated. There's, of course, a broader question about what's going to happen this year in a tax bill and what we should do. So maybe we'll start with you, Senator Senjum. Taxes, where is that likely to go? What do you think should happen? And what about this viewer's specific question about whether or not something is going to be done about taxes for the elderly?
Yeah, initially, I think, again, not unlike bonding, as we got to the legislative session this year, we a lot of thought about just picking up last year's tax bill, which had, again, strong bipartisan support on both the House and the Senate. And Senator Chamberlain on our side, and I suspect then Representative Davids, didn't think that was the best idea at this point. But I can tell you that I think we're going to see another bill that's much like that. I know, just by virtue of conversation, that we're still looking at things related to Social Security taxation. We couldn't do that all at once, but beginning the long-term process of weeding, if you will, our tax policy off that particular senior citizen kind of income and so on and so forth. So I'm hopeful that we're going to have a good bill and it's going to continue to have the support it did last year. I hope we don't take it too far apart.
Well, the bill that we had last year, I think, had about over $200 million in tax relief in it. It dealt with some business tax relief, but some middle class tax relief as well. We've tried Social Security,
right?
Eliminating that tax, but have not been successful in that. I'm sure that will come up again, as well as the veterans exemption from taxes that we did do. Mm-hmm. But this year now we have the governor's budget being proposed. I think it's $46.8 billion, and we have a $1.4 billion surplus, and he has $88 million in tax relief. We would like to see, I'm sure, that increased, and that'll be a big part of the tax debate as we go through the session.
Well, as far as taxes on the elderly, I'm right in there.
As one of the elderly, or as
one of the elderly? Yes. And the question is tax.
You have good company here around the table, so that's.
I understand that.
Exception of Representative Moran. The rest of us.
Yeah. But who wants to pay taxes? I don't want to pay taxes. But the fact is that we have now a fairly balanced set of tax and spend entries in our budget, and we need to be clear that there is no tax on Social Security right now. If that's your only income, you don't reach the threshold to have to pay tax. So the tax is really on other income that comes from your pension, it comes from your 401ks, it comes from other distributions. So we need to be sure that we understand that. I would love to have my Social Security, when I take it, which I'm not yet, when I take it, be exempt from taxes. But we always have to find a way to pay for it. Other states, a lot of other states have exempted it, but they have found ways to pay for it. There are a lot of taxes in other states that we don't always look at. Florida taxes food. Texas has a property tax on personal property like your car and other things, and business personal property too. Some counties in both Wisconsin and Texas are the highest tax counties in the country, and that's easy to look up. So we have to try to balance things here, and also we have a very successful economy in Minnesota here. And the taxes are not driving people out. That's been debunked from one end to the other. It's not driving business out. We actually have right now really it's an uncomfortable unemployment rate. There are pockets of very high unemployment, but the state as a whole is very highly employed. And the problem we have right now is that the jobs that are available don't fit with the training of the people that are unemployed. And so that's where we need to make sure that we do more workforce training and make sure that these people can take those jobs. Also, I feel that probably our biggest tax relief would be if we get people who shouldn't be in prison out of prison and have them working, have them contributing instead of using tax dollars. And there's other things like that we should be doing. I don't have a problem with. In fact, I did sponsor one version of the bill for retired military to take the tax deduction. I don't have a real problem with that, but we do have to find the place to pay for it. It's always, and we call those a tax expenditure, where you have to pay the tax, but I don't. That's a tax expenditure. So we have to be very careful about doing that very judiciously. Is that a word I can use?
It's certainly appropriate. Representative Moran, taxes.
So, just like the bonding bill of last semester, it didn't pass. I think it was a good tax bill. I know I supported it and voted for it. And in regards
Smoking
to
hot tax
yeah,
bill.
it was a good
What Representative Davids would call it.
smoking hot. Okay. In regards to seniors, I think as we age, we need to find a way to protect our seniors. And if that means giving them some tax relief, I think we should find a way to do that. I think we have to get smarter on how we invest. And you talked about incarceration rates. I work for an organization around prevention. I also sit on the Legislative Task Force for Child Protection, along with the Governor Council on Police and Community. And we're just not smart enough on how we utilize tax dollars. We are paying so much money on the back end of public dollars in a way that has not benefited us as a state or society. So my hope is that we can look at how we can be smarter, be creative, be more innovative about solutions that we bring to the table, and be open to some evidence-based practices. It's a better return.